The most important thing is to realize this is now a global problem. There's terrorism that's striking countries all over the world. You take any one day and you'll have 20, 30 different countries where there are different acts of terrorism. And what we're trying to do is to say, look, we have to take the security measures we need, but underlying this is an ideology of extremism that's based on a perversion of religion, and this Islamist extremism is the single biggest security threat we face. And we need to build allies within the Muslim world. We need to be, I'm afraid, engaged in the Middle East. Even if we want to pull back from it, we've got no option. It means the position of Israel, in my view, is critically important. It's a major bastion of our security. We want to try and get the Arab world and Israel to have some common ground. That will need addressing the Palestinian issue. But building these alliances of what I would call, sense and moderation and modernity against this ideology that has not merely tens of thousands of fanatics, but I'm afraid millions and millions of followers worldwide, and that's really important.
One of the issues that keeps coming up when we speak to Middle Eastern allies is they say, look, we want to join this coalition against the extremists, but we need Assad to go in Syria. Do you feel that way? Do you think that that is one of the issues that needs to be addressed, Assad running Syria?
Sure, because of course Assad is governing the country with the support of a small minority of people, the majority which are from the Sunni side of Islam, and that's the majority of Syrians who are excluded from power. So, but on the other hand, you've got a civil war going on in Syria. You've now got extremist groups. We have ISIS obviously in Syria, but you've got frankly 7 or 8 other different groups. And I see Syria as part of this bigger problem, because you can look at Syria. We're working with the government of Iraq, but we've still got big problems there. You've got Yemen, you've got Libya, you've got North Africa, you've got Central Asia, down in the Far East. There are major terrorist problems. This is a global problem, and we're going to have to build a global alliance. But we need to make sure that we're tackling the root of the problem. And the root of the problem, in my view, and I study this day in, day out, is education systems around the world that are educating young people, millions of them, day in, day out, to a narrow view of religion, to hostility to the West, to everything that we represent, and it's in that environment that the terrorism breeds.
So they don't get sucked into that terrorist way of thinking. When you look at that, and when you look at what's happening in terms of ISIS, why do you think ISIS has gotten stronger in the last 7 or so years?
Well, I think it's partly because what's happened is that we've allowed them to grow in the chaos of Syria. And this is where, look, it's very difficult. Your public and my public don't want anything to do with these conflicts. Right. But the truth is we're finding out in Europe with the refugee crisis, whether we like it or not, they will come to us if we don't go and help sort the situation out. So ISIS is growing strong partly as a result of the chaos in Syria, but you could get rid of ISIS and you've got Jabhat al-Nusra, you've got Al-Qaeda, you've got Al-Shabaab, you've got Boko Haram in Nigeria. There are whole swathes of the world that are infected with this virus of violent extremism, and I think you have to tackle that by whatever military and security means you can, but if you don't go down to the roots of it, which are in many of these countries, many of these majority Muslim countries, young people being educated to a view of the world that is not compatible with the way the modern world works. Right, the way, a city like New York is a successful city, a city like London is a successful city. Why? Because people come here across the boundaries of faith and culture, and they mix together, they have a common set of democratic values. If you're educating a young person that if you don't believe what I believe about religion, then you're an infidel or a heretic or my enemy, it's not surprising if a proportion of those will then go to terrorism, and then these people recruit in from elsewhere.
And this will be the mandate of the Anti-Terrorism Commission.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to do.